It's day one of Malaysia's movement control order. To recap, in a key effort to stem the spread of the coronavirus, Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin had announced a partial lockdown of the country. It starts today and will be lifted on March 31st.
Our Malaysia correspondent Trinna Leong was on the streets of Kuala Lumpur this morning to find out how Malaysians are coping.
Hi, good morning. So this is day one of the movement control order in Malaysia. I am in a suburb about 20 minutes away from Kuala Lumpur, and right now people are still out and about. This is a row of coffee shops that's next to a wet market. People are still out and about buying their supplies of fresh goods. And the wet market is still open. There are not that many people left. But essentially, it looks like people are still trying to get their supplies.
Trinna joins us now over Skype live from Kuala Lumpur. Trinna, we've seen bouts of panic buying in Singapore after Mr. Muhyiddin's announcement on Monday. Were there similar scenes in Malaysia?
Hi there. So bulk purchase actually in supermarkets have begun happening over the last weekend when rumors of a possible lockdown started circulating on the internet. But panic buying began to escalate on Monday evening within an hour after PM Muhyiddin's remark that he will be making a big announcement at night. So even mini markets were swarmed with people, and you have queues stretching out onto the sidewalks. This is on top of what we see in major supermarkets with empty shelves and long queues, as people start to stock up on fear that stores may close. But even after Muhyiddin's late night announcement on Monday that supermarkets and stores for basic necessities would remain open during the 2-week movement restriction order, people still continue to stock up on Tuesday. But today you see a dramatic change because the roads and malls are all empty. An upmarket grocery store had very few customers and there was no queue at the cashier. So things have dramatically quieted down compared to yesterday and the day before.
Well, Trinna, businesses have been ordered to close apart from supermarkets and markets. The lockdown is only until the end of the month, but how heavily do you think Malaysia's economy will be hit?
Well, technically, this is not a full lockdown. It's a partial lockdown. So, people can still move about, but it's just discouraged, right? So the general expectation is that this will definitely make a dent on the economy. And by and large, economists don't think that the government can keep up to the fiscal consolidation this year. And this is not just because of a 2-week office closure, but in general because the global market is in a slump and you have oil prices that have crashed, and the coronavirus is going to have a long-term impact on the economy. So given there is a lack of clarity right now and a lot of pressure piled on by the manufacturing industries, it looks like the government has given the green light for some industry to continue working. So this applies to the electronics and electrical sector, petrochemicals, and the oil and gas industries have been exempted from closing during this 2-week period. This could perhaps minimize somewhat the impact slightly, but given the way things they are right now, so on a longer term perspective, with or without the 2-week closure, things do not look good on the economic front.
Trinna, let's shift our focus to interstate travel. We understand that an interstate travel permit is now required if one wants to travel. How has this been received?
So on this front, actually, there's no clear directive yet on how and when it will be implemented. So it all started yesterday evening when the travel permit was initially announced, and then there was a massive line at police stations across towns with Malaysians seeking to get a travel permit. Then you also have, a gridlock, on major highways across the Peninsula Malaysia, people who are rushing to go back home, right, to get out of KL. But close to midnight yesterday, after seeing a commotion on highways and the lines at police stations, the police chief, Hamid Bador, said that the travel permit is temporarily retracted until authorities can discuss over how to implement it. So it is still advised that under the Federal Gazette that was issued today, that there are restrictions on traveling to states with confirmed COVID cases, which means every single state in Malaysia. So how is it going to be done? We don't know yet.
Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with us, Trinna. That was Malaysia correspondent Trinna Leong speaking about the first day of the lockdown in Malaysia. And you can keep up to date with the latest developments across the causeway at straitstimes.com.
The Woodlands Causeway and Tuas Second Link were quiet today as all Malaysians were barred from travelling abroad.
exceptions are made for Singaporeans coming back from Malaysia, as well as trucks delivering goods and cargo. Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong had reassured Singaporeans that the flow of goods and cargo, including food supplies, between the two countries would continue.
Before the lockdown kicked in, there was a mass exodus of Malaysian workers last night who rushed home to Johor Bahru to take their belongings before coming back here to continue their jobs.
Earlier today, Communications and Information Minister S. Iswaran reiterated that the Manpower Ministry will work together with employers to facilitate the supply of accommodation for Malaysian workers who have chosen to stay in Singapore over the two-week lockdown. Mr. Iswaran also said that the Manpower Ministry will help manage the costs associated with it.